Imagine losing your dream job.
Oh, that is never a fun thought.
No, but I mean, not just getting called into HR, being handed a little cardboard box for your desk plans.
Right, the usual corporate exit.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine instead getting dragged down into a damp, freezing stone dungeon.
Okay, that escalated quickly.
Right. You're falsely accused of treason.
Yeah.
You're strung up by your wrists, and then repeatedly dropped toward the floor until your shoulders literally dislocate.
Just brutal physical torture.
Completely physically shattered. You're stripped of your livelihood, and you're banished from the city you love.
Leaving you with absolutely nothing.
Nothing at all. Now, imagine limping home from that
Yeah.
and deciding to write a desperate, groveling cover letter
Yeah.
to the exact people who just tortured you, basically begging them to hire you back.
It just sounds completely absurd to the modern ear,
Yeah.
But that is the genuine, actual historical reality behind one of the most infamous texts ever written.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are going to unpack this because our mission today completely flips a classic piece of literature on its head.
It really does change everything you thought you knew.
So you listening at home, you're probably familiar with Niccolò Machiavelli's famous book, The Prince.
Oh, definitely. It's universally known as the ultimate handbook for ruthless, cold-blooded political power.
Right. I mean, it's literally where we get the term Machiavellian.
Exactly.
But today, we're going to read it through a totally different lens. We're pulling from a really incredible stack of sources.
We've got excerpts from the book itself, obviously.
Yep, plus Machiavelli's famous dedication at the start of the book, some biographical accounts of his life, and his intensely personal letters.
And when you synthesize all these documents together, a pretty wild picture emerges.
Wild is the word for it.
Yeah, we're not looking at an objective philosophical treatise on governance that was just written for the ages.
Not at all.
We are looking at a highly sophisticated, incredibly desperate job application.
It is the ultimate cover letter from an unemployed, totally disgraced civil servant.
Who is trying to get hired by the Medici family.
The very billionaires, basically, who destroyed his career in the first place.
It's just wild. To understand the sheer desperation bleeding through these pages, we really have to look at the biographical context our sources give us.
Right, because before he was the guy who wrote the book on being evil, Machiavelli was actually a massive success story, wasn't he?
Oh, he was a superstar of the Florentine Republic. For 14 years, from like 1498 to 1512, Florence had kicked out the wealthy Medici family.
They set up a republican government instead.
Exactly. And Machiavelli became their chancellor and their top diplomat.
So he was a really big deal.
Huge. He was constantly riding across Europe on horseback, negotiating treaties with the King of France, managing local militias.
Navigating between warring popes, right?
Yeah, he was deeply, deeply embedded in the mechanics of statecraft.
He's the guy in the room making the geopolitical gears turn.
But then, the pendulum always swings back. In 1512, the Florentine Republic collapses.
And the Medici family comes back.
Backed by a Spanish army, they march right back into Florence to take their city back.
So the republic is dissolved.
Dissolved entirely, and Machiavelli's world just completely disintegrates. He is immediately dismissed by decree.
Fired on the spot.
But the Medici don't stop there. They view him as a dangerous loyalist to the old regime. So a few months later, a plot against the Medici is uncovered.
Uh-oh. Let me guess, his name comes up.
Yep. His name is found on a piece of paper belonging to the conspirators.
Wow.
So he is thrown into the Bargello prison and subjected to the strappado.
That's the torture I was describing earlier, right?
Exactly. They hoisted him up by his bound hands and dropped him over and over to try and extract a confession.
Which, amazingly, he never gives.
No, he maintains his innocence the whole time.
He survives the dungeon and is eventually released in a general amnesty when a member of the Medici family is actually elected Pope, Pope Leo X.
Right, but he is still banned from Florence. He's exiled to his small, rural farm in San Casciano.
And this is where our sources give us this incredible, almost cinematic glimpse into his psychology.
It really is fascinating.
There's this personal letter he writes to his friend Francesco Vittori in December 1513.
Oh, that letter is such a crucial piece of the puzzle. He basically describes his new, completely pathetic daily routine.
Tell us about it.
Well, this former elite diplomat is now living a gritty, squalid farm life. He spends his days catching thrushes, arguing with local woodcutters over a few cents for cords of wood.
Just haggling over pennies.
Yeah, and playing cards in the local inn with a butcher and a miller. And he specifically notes that they get into shouting matches over these pennies.
It's such a fall from grace. And he emphasizes that he is wearing peasant clothes, literally covered in dirt and mud.
He's basically wallowing in it during the day.
Mm,
But the contrast comes at sundown.
right. This is my favorite part of the letter.
It's so good. The letter details this incredible, almost sacred ritual he performs.
What does he do?
Machiavelli writes that when evening comes, he returns home, goes to the threshold of his study, and he actually strips off those muddy, everyday clothes.
Okay.
He washes the dirt off his body, and he puts on what he calls his noble court dress.
Wow. It's such a profound psychological defense mechanism, isn't it?
It really is.
He's basically playing dress up in his own house just to remember who he used to be.
Clothed in his former dignity, he steps into his study to commune with the ancient thinkers of Greece and Rome.
So he's reading the classics.
Yeah. He says that for 4 hours, he forgets his poverty, he doesn't fear death, he is entirely possessed by these great men.
That's powerful.
And it is in this room, sitting in his fine clothes at a wooden table, that he writes his little book on principalities.
Which becomes the prince. But I have to push back here for a second because this is the part I just don't get.
Okay, what's that?
If someone destroyed my life, tortured me, dislocated my shoulders, and banished me to the woods, I wouldn't spend my evenings writing a customized instruction manual for them. I don't know, plot revenge. Or I'd just stay off the grid and enjoy the birds.
That's a very normal reaction.
Right. So why go through this elaborate, painful ritual to help the exact family that ruined him?
Well, you have to understand that Machiavelli is fundamentally, almost biologically, a creature of the state.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
He is completely addicted to the game of politics. Being away from the levers of power is literally worse than death for him.
Oh, wow. So he just can't let it go.
Not at all. In that exact same letter to Nittore, he explicitly states his true motive. He desperately wants to be employed by the Medici lords.
Even after everything they did.
Even after all of it. He says he would be happy even if they just start him off rolling a stone.
He just wants his foot in the door.
Exactly.
He wants to be back in the room where it happens, even if he's just the guy serving the coffee.
Precisely. He needs to prove to them that the 15 years he spent studying statecraft haven't been wasted. He is offering himself as a valuable asset.
Which means, if you are going to swallow your pride and beg your torturers for a job, you need a really killer opening statement.
You really do. You have to thread an impossible needle.
So how does he actually open this pitch? Because our sources include the very first page of the book, right? The dedication to Lorenzo di Piero de' Medici.
Yeah, and the dedication is just a masterclass in rhetorical positioning.
Let's hear it.
Machiavelli starts by observing a basic truth of court life. He says, people who want to earn a prince's favor usually bring them expensive gifts.
Like horses' arms, cloth of gold, precious stones.
Yeah, the 16th century equivalent of a massive campaign donation.
Or like a luxury corporate retreat or something.
Exactly. But Machiavelli is destitute. He has no gold to give.
He's living in a muddy cabin.
So he offers his intellectual capital instead. He writes that his most precious possession is his knowledge of the actions of great men.
Knowledge he got the hard way.
Yes, which he points out was acquired by long experience in dangerous contemporary affairs and a deep study of antiquity.
He is basically sliding his resume across the table.
That is exactly what he's doing.
But he still has to justify his audacity, right? You don't just walk into a ruling monarch's palace, especially one who already hates you, and say, hey, here is a manual on how to do your job.
Right. It's incredibly presumptuous.
So how does he get away with that?
He actually anticipates that exact criticism, and he diffuses it with this brilliant geographical analogy.
Okay, tell us the analogy.
He writes that to draw a landscape and truly understand the nature of mountains, a painter has to stand down in the plains.
Okay, makes sense.
But to understand the plains, the painter has to stand up high on the mountain.
I see where this is going.
Therefore, he argues, to understand the nature of the people, you must be a prince on the mountain. But to truly understand the nature of princes...
You must be down in the mud of the people.
Exactly.
He frames his absolute rock-bottom status not as a weakness, but as the exact analytical vantage point the Medicis are missing.
It's a total genius spin on his miserable situation.
But here's where it gets really interesting. At the very end of this dedication, he slips in a thinly veiled guilt trip.
Oh, he absolutely does.
After all this lofty talk about mountains and plains, he literally begs Lorenzo to look down from the summit of his greatness to these lower regions.
And if he does that,
If he does, Lorenzo will see how, and this is a direct quote from the source, unmeritedly I suffer a great and continued malignity of fortune.
it is a direct emotional plea to the hiring manager.
He's basically saying, look, I am smart, I am loyal, you guys ruin me for no good reason, and I am suffering out here. Please hire me.
And once you view the text through that lens, it completely changes how you read the actual advice in the following chapters.
It really does. Because he isn't writing a general objective theory of political science, is he?
No, not at all. He is writing a custom-tailored manual for a very specific target audience, addressing their exact, immediate problems.
So he set the hook. But a good resume doesn't just list skills, it targets the employer's specific pain points. Let's look at how he tailors the advice, because the sources show he makes some very strange choices about what to include and what to completely ignore.
Yeah, there is a glaring omission that happens right at the start of the book.
What does he skip?
Machiavelli very quickly breezes past hereditary principalities.
Meaning kingdoms passed down through a family.
Right. He basically writes a single paragraph saying, well, if you inherit a kingdom that your family has comfortably ruled for generations, it's pretty easy to hold on to.
Just don't mess it up, basically.
Yeah, just don't break the ancestral customs, don't completely alienate everyone, and you'll be fine. He glosses right over it to focus almost entirely on new principalities.
But I'm confused by that strategy. If I'm writing a comprehensive textbook on how to rule, why would I completely skip over the most common, stable type of kingdom?
It does seem counterintuitive.
That seems like leaving out the biggest chapter of the playbook.
Well, if he were writing a general textbook, it would be a huge mistake. But he's not. He's writing a pitch for the Medici.
Ah.
And the Medici are not a stable hereditary monarchy right now. They have just taken over Florence via military force.
Even though they used to rule it years ago.
Right. They had historical roots there, but they had been exiled for nearly 2 decades. So they are, for all intents and purposes, a new power dealing with a recently conquered republic.
And ruling a former republic is like trying to tame a wild horse.
Yeah.
These people are used to freedom.
Exactly. They are hostile, they are resentful, and they are highly prone to rebellion.
Which is exactly the friction Machiavelli zeroes in on.
He is laser focusing on the exact nightmare keeping the Medici awake at night.
He's telling them, I know you are terrified of losing the city again. Let me show you how to lock it down permanently.
And to teach them how to handle this volatile situation, he brings up his absolute favorite case study.
Right. Cesare Borgia, the Duke Valentino.
Yes. The sources dedicate a massive amount of real estate to Borgia.
And for context, he was the illegitimate son of Pope Alexander VI, right?
Yes, and he used his father's religious and financial backing to carve out a brand new, incredibly ruthless state in the Romagna region of Italy.
But I have a huge problem with this example.
Why is that?
Well, historically, the Medici and the Borgias despise each other. They were bitter rivals.
They absolutely were.
So why on earth would Machiavelli tell a Medici to act like a Borgia? Praising your interviewer's worst enemy seems like professional suicide.
It seems crazy until you look at the immediate political landscape of 1513.
Okay, what was happening then?
We have to remember that the Medici family had just achieved something massive. They had actually captured the papacy.
Right, Giuliano de' Medici's brother had just been crowned Pope Leo X.
Exactly. By using Cesare Borgia as the ultimate model of success, Machiavelli is holding up a very specific, tantalizing blueprint.
Oh, I see. He's whispering to them, hey, you have a pope in your family now, just like Borgia did.
Yeah.
Borgia almost conquered all of Italy with that unfair advantage. Let me show you exactly how to use your pope to build an empire.
He is showing them the maximum potential upside of their current assets. And notice the brilliant psychological alignment he creates here.
What does he do?
Machiavelli writes that Borgia did everything perfectly. He laid flawless foundations, but he ultimately failed only due to the extreme malignity of fortune.
Wait. Malignity of fortune.
Yeah, Borgia got deathly ill at the exact moment his father, the Pope, died unexpectedly.
But hold on, extreme malignity of fortune. That is the exact same phrase Machiavelli used to describe his own miserable situation in the dedication.
Yes. Subconsciously or intentionally, He weaves that thread right through the text.
That is so clever. He's suggesting to the Medici that both he and the great Cesare Borgia are victims of bad luck, not bad strategy.
He's framing himself as a peer to the most brilliant political mind of their generation.
He's basically saying Borgia was a genius undone by fate, and so am I. Let me be your Borgia.
Exactly.
But, claiming you have bad luck isn't enough to get hired.
Yeah.
Machiavelli knows he has to prove he isn't just an armchair philosopher making excuses from his muddy farm.
Right. He has to prove he has the stomach to actually do the Medici's dirty work.
So how does he prove that?
He proves it by diving headfirst into the infamous dark arts of statecraft. This is where the prince really earns its terrifying reputation.
Right, we're talking about chapter 18, where he says a ruler must know how to be a beast, to play both the fierce lion and the cunning fox.
And readily break his word if keeping it hurts his interests.
Or chapter 17, where he argues it is far better to be feared than loved.
Because human beings are fickle hypocrites who will abandon you the second danger approaches.
So cynical. But the anecdote that really makes your blood run cold in the sources is how Cesare Borgia handles the newly conquered Romagna.
Oh, the story of Ramiro Dorco.
Yes. Let's get into this because it is wild.
It is perhaps the darkest, most revealing moment in the entire text.
So Borgia conquers the Romagna, and the region is an absolute mess, right? It's full of robberies, factions, and constant violence.
Total chaos.
Borgia wants to bring it to heel, but he doesn't want the people to hate him for being a tyrant. So he hires a minister, Ramiro Dorco,
who Machiavelli describes as a swift and cruel man.
Borgia gives this guy absolute power, and Ramiro goes in and violently, brutally pacifies the region. He terrifies everyone into total submission.
He acts as the ultimate blunt instrument.
But then, once the region is peaceful, Borgia knows the population absolutely despises Ramiro for all the bloodshed.
Naturally.
So, to clear his own name, win the people over, and show he wasn't responsible for the cruelty, Borgia turns on his own guy.
He has Ramiro executed.
But he doesn't just hang him quietly. He leaves Ramiro in the public square at Cesena, cut entirely in half.
With a wooden block and a bloody knife at his side.
Machiavelli writes that the barbarity of this spectacle caused the people to be at once satisfied and dismayed. It's literally a butcher's display. It's monstrous.
It's absolutely monstrous, but Machiavelli wants the Medici to look past the horror and see the clinical mechanism at work.
The strategy behind the gore.
Yes. Machiavelli realized a profoundly dark truth about human psychology. A ruler can offshore their cruelty.
Oh, it's like a mafia boss.
Right.
The Don orders his ruthless lieutenant to do all the hits, collect the debts, and break the legs. Everyone hates the lieutenant.
Right.
Then, the Don publicly whacks his own lieutenant. Suddenly, the Don looks like a hero who brought justice, even though he orchestrated the whole thing from the start.
It's an impeccable metaphor. By leaving Ramiro cut in half, Borgia achieves two contradictory psychological states in the population simultaneously.
Satisfied and dismayed.
Right. They are dismayed, meaning they are paralyzed by the sheer terror of what Borgia is capable of, which extinguishes any thought of rebellion.
But they are also satisfied.
Yes, meaning their demand for a scapegoat has been quenched. They feel a twisted gratitude toward Borgia for removing the monster that was tormenting them.
Fear plus gratitude equals total compliance. It's sickeningly brilliant. But why tell this specific gruesome story to the Medici?
Because Machiavelli is sending a massive flashing signal. He is telling them, look, I understand the mechanics of violence.
I know you will have to do terrible things to secure Florence.
Yes, and I will not judge you. I will not be squeamish. I am the kind of cold, calculating secretary you need in the room to engineer these outcomes.
He's pitching himself as the guy who can design the bloody knife scenario. He's the surgeon who knows exactly where to cut out the tumor without killing the patient.
And he emphasizes the precision of that surgery by contrasting it with someone who just hacked away blindly.
Oh, right, the other example he uses.
Yeah, he includes the example of Agathocles the Sicilian.
Who is that?
A man who rose to power by literally calling a meeting of the Senate and having his soldiers murder all the senators and the richest citizens in one single morning.
Just a networking event turned into an absolute bloodbath.
Exactly. But Machiavelli actually critiques Agathocles.
Really? He draws the line there.
He notes that Agathocles achieved power, but not glory, because his cruelty was excessive, constant, and uncalculated.
So there is a wrong way to be evil.
According to Machiavelli, yes. He draws a strict line between cruelty badly used, which creates endless, exhausting hatred, and cruelty properly used.
Which is what? Applied in one sudden shocking blow to secure power, and then quickly replaced by benefits to the people.
Exactly, it's the mathematics of violence.
He's proving he isn't a mindless sadist, he's an optimizing technician.
Precisely.
But, if he leaves the book there, he just sounds like a high-functioning sociopath.
Fair point.
You can't just pitch yourself as a monster who knows how to optimize executions. If you want the job, you have to appeal to the boss's ego. You have to make them feel like a hero.
And that necessity drives the grand finale of the book, chapter 26.
The tone shift here gives you absolute whiplash.
It really does.
For 25 chapters, we've been reading this clinical, dead-eyed breakdown of fortresses, mercenaries, and severing your rivals in half.
Very cold, very analytical.
And then suddenly, chapter 26 is titled An Exhortation to Liberate Italy from the Barbarians.
The clinical tone vanishes entirely. It becomes a soaring, passionate manifesto.
It is the ultimate hero's journey pitch, isn't it?
It is. Machiavelli lays the flattery on incredibly thick.
Also,
He describes the entire nation of Italy as beaten, despoiled, torn, and overrun by foreign powers, like the French and the Spanish.
he paints Italy as a captive slave waiting for a redeemer.
Yes, and then he points directly at the Medici. He tells them that their illustrious house, with its valor and fortune favored by God and by the Church, is the chosen one to heal the nation's wounds.
So what does this all mean for the job application?
It means Machiavelli is wrapping his brutal pragmatism in a holy cause.
Giving them an excuse.
Exactly. He knows that no prince wants to stare in the mirror and see a common thug. So Machiavelli provides the ultimate moral rationalization.
He's telling his potential employers that all the deceit, the fox and lion tactics, the bloody knives in the public square, they aren't just for selfish, greedy gain.
They are the painful but necessary tools to achieve a divine, patriotic mission.
He's basically saying, we aren't being ruthless to get rich. We're being ruthless to save Italy. God wants us to do the dirty work.
He explicitly uses biblical imagery. He tells them the sea has divided, the cloud has led the way, the rock has poured forth water.
God has set the stage. The Medici just need to act.
It elevates the entire brutal pitch into a righteous crusade.
It is a stunningly constructed package when you look at it all together. He wore the noble court dress in his muddy cabin to get in the zone.
He wrote the perfect customized manual for a new regime.
He showed he understood their Pope advantage, he proved his ruthless utility, and he handed them a heroic, legacy-defining vision.
He did everything right.
So, the million-dollar question. We know he put his absolute soul into this pitch. Did the ultimate cover letter actually work? Did the Medici hire him?
The tragic reality, confirmed by the biographical sources, is that it completely, utterly failed.
Ouch, really?
Yeah. There is zero evidence that Lorenzo de' Medici ever even cracked the spine of the prince.
Are you kidding me?
Some historical accounts suggest that when Machiavelli finally managed to get a copy presented to Lorenzo, the prince was entirely distracted.
By what?
By a pair of hunting dogs someone else had just gifted him.
Oh, that is brutal.
He certainly never offered Machiavelli a job.
So Machiavelli just stayed in his muddy clothes.
He languished. He received a few minor, insignificant writing commissions years later, but he never regained his beloved office as chancellor.
So sad.
He died in 1527, ironically, just weeks after the Medici were driven out of Florence yet again.
Oh.
He died a disappointed, unemployed bureaucrat who never made it back into the room.
Which brings us to the core takeaway for you listening today. Next time you read a piece of advice, a best-selling business book, or a viral political manifesto, pause and ask yourself about the hidden motives of the author.
Always question the motive.
Is it truly an objective theory meant to enlighten the world? Or is the author subtly pitching themselves for a job, a consulting gig, or a place in your wallet? What is their muddy cabin reality?
Context changes everything. When you understand the sheer desperation driving the author, the advice takes on a completely different meaning.
And I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Machiavelli wrote The Prince, primarily just to get a mid-level government job. He just wanted to be a secretary again.
And he failed completely.
But think about the alternative. If he had succeeded, and the Medici had read it, liked it, and hired him back, this manuscript might have just been an internal company memo.
That's a great point.
It might have been locked in a Medici desk drawer, classified as a state secret, and eventually lost to history or burned in the next revolution.
He would have lived a comfortable life and we would probably never know his name.
Right. Was his ultimate crushing personal failure the exact mechanism that forced his ideas out into the public, making him immortal?
It's a haunting paradox. By losing his career, he conquered history.
Next time you're packing up that cardboard box and being escorted to the parking lot, just remember, sometimes the worst thing that can happen to your immediate livelihood is the best thing that can happen to your legacy.